Shalom. First and foremost, call Loyum, Wakabad, like Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Arakhakwadash. All praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, in the name of the Heavenly Father, and in the name of the only begotten Son, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Arakhakwadash, in the name of the Holy Spirit, double honors to the elder apostles of the great millstone who rule well. Peace, blessings, and salutations unto the hopeful elect tabernacle of David. And, this headline caught my eye. Rumors of war. The clock is ticking and China's preparing for war. And this is from End Time Headlines. And, that's taken from when Yahushai told his disciples, when they asked him, what shall be the sign of the end? What shall be the sign of his coming? And the Lord said, you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see that you be not troubled, for the end. Matter of fact, I already got it pulled up. Matthew 24, verse 6, and you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. All right, and that's what we're constantly seeing with all these different reports. And what we do is, because we're watchmen, we are, watching, for the prophecies, which, if you're a prophet, if you're a servant of the Lord, you call yourself a watchman, you're supposed to definitely be preoccupied with these prophecies. All right, the scriptures say in 2 Ezra 9, measure thou the time diligently in itself. All right. Then when you see the times, the tokens, then you should know that he spoke of these things from the beginning. All right. And now, the vision that was yet for an appointed time is now speaking. All right. So this is concerning China and how they're more than likely being prepared to invade Taiwan. Now, as we all know that, China is one of the emerging, superpowers, right alongside Russia. They both allied, partnered up, and other nations are all assembling to this particular alliance. They're defying, Western dominance, setting up stake in other, land masses that holds, particular resources, such as energy, gold, so on and so forth. And now, because they've been, vocal about Taiwan and how Taiwan's been, doing business with the West, with the United States, allowing the U.S. to provoke China by selling their ships over into the South China Sea, talking about their involvement and how they want to, basically come and, set their anchor down into Taiwan. And China ain't with it. They're not for that. So they know at any moment, things can change. So they're preparing themselves to take Taiwan because they believe Taiwan is, a part of China. I mean, it's the same nation as the Moabites. But also, we also know that the elites, fund both sides. We know that China, the model that they have set forth right now with, the whole social credit score, digital slave control system, everything is monitored and surveilled. People's information is now can be tracked on this system. All right. What comes to mind, the apostles always mention it, brothers always mention it. You watch that episode Nosedive on Black Mirror. They showed they foretold everything in that series. All right, that there's gonna be a point in time when, you're gonna be you're gonna have to participate in a digital social credit system where all your information is gonna be tied to this system, and you're gonna be graded, so to speak, based on your social behavior. If you're not complying with the rules of, the New World Order, you will lose privileges based on your credit score. Or you won't be able to participate and function within society. You won't be able to partake in certain services. Ultimately, the MOTB is going to be tied in with that. And we know that you won't be able to have access to, any purchasing, any financial transactions, or you won't be able to do anything without it or being linked into this system. Your identification is going to be digital, and they're launching that, all over, over in parts of Africa and India, definitely in China. So that's the model for the whole world. All right, that model is the New World Order setup. All right, so anyway, it says Chinese President Xi Jinping has just announced that China will be preparing for a war, and that should deeply alarm all of us. Needless to say, nobody's going to be attacking China anytime soon. Of course, over here in the West, everybody's going to still continue as it is, carrying on with their lives. This place ain't going to be prepared like all these other countries. They've been for years preparing for any scenario to pop off for war. And all the Lord behind the scenes has been, getting these nations ready. All right, we read that in Joel, the 3rd chapter. Let's get that real quick. Joel 3 and verse 9. This is why they've been advocating for people to take, anti-radiation pills. All right. They practice, drills for, missile attacks, going down in bunkers. They've been telling people to leave, embassies, try to, evacuate and things of that nature because they know something's getting ready to go down. All right. Same with Russia, because of, their invasion of Ukraine and them being in a direct war with the West, through the proxies that's being fought over there. Because ultimately, them Russians, it would be an easy walk for them in Ukraine, but they're literally fighting with, Western-backed armies over there. The Israeli defense force is tied in over there. NATO is tied in over there. So this is why Russia has been getting more and more aggressive, sending barrage of missile attacks and so on and so forth. So, this is all leading to that final world's war, and it's going to drag all these nations into it. So this is Joel 3 verse 9. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare a war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Let me see if I can, let me see what this says in the other translations. NLT, it says, say to the nations far and wide, get ready for war. Call out your best warriors, let all your fighting men advance for the attack. They've been mobilizing troops, all right, basically drafting. And meanwhile, over here in the West, it's, proclaimed and Americans boast that, America has the world's greatest military, but yet they're having a recruitment issue where people are not really wanting to, voluntarily, fight. And that's in a prophecy as well concerning Babylon, how their mighty men have forborne to fight. They don't want to have to deal with, fighting these wars for these devils when they don't even have their best interests over here. So, that's another sign, man, that, the Lord is, he's weakening this place. All right. She would have been healed, but she is not healed. So these nations, they're garnishing up that encouragement, boldness to face and defy, America, Western American authority. All right. And there's even a quarrel even amongst America's own allies, the EU. All right. They're not really seeing eye to eye with each other. And that's also part of the division, which weakens you. The Lord said, a kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. All right. They're starting to get sick and tired of the horde, talking about these European countries, France, Germany, like they They do not mess with the West like that. All right. So the nations also can see that. All right. And get even more emboldened. All right. As they, up their nuclear arsenals and prepare for wars. Verse 10, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. All right. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about till they cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. Because ultimately the Lord is who's gathering these nations, gathering their armies for this third world's war, which is the war of Armageddon, spoken of in Revelation 16. All right. The Lord mustereth the host of the battle, because ultimately he's gathering them to plead for his people. Because, ultimately you got the controversy of Zion, which, the true children of Israel, which are you so-called Negroes, Hispanics and natives of North, Central, and South America are the Israelites. You've been scattered amongst all people, and, heathens, the residue of the heathen in Idumea possessed our land, and it's being parted by the heathen. So the Lord's going to, cause this conflict to escalate to war, and these nations are going to be drawn into it only to lose the war. And that's going to leave an opening for the children of Israel, because we're going to be saved and delivered out of this place as, destruction is going to happen. All right. We know the ending fate for Babylon is it's going to be wiped out. All right. And 2/3 ain't going to make it out of here, of course. But you're going to have the 144,000 or 1/3 going to be brought up out of here. All right. And we're going to come back down, and we're going to possess our land. And those nations that was over there, they're going to be destroyed out of there. All right. So the Lord's setting this thing up, man. So anyway, let's go back to the article. All right. So as you can see, they announced that they're preparing for war, and the prophecy said, prepare the mighty men and proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war and wake up the mighty men. So, this is all part of it. It says, so why would the Chinese need to prepare for war if there is zero chance that they will be attacked? Unfortunately, the answer is obvious. The only reason China would be engaged in a military conflict anytime soon is if it chooses to invade Taiwan. The moment such an invasion is launched, the United States and China will be at war. And here it is. Esau got to, stick their nose in everything. And that was part of what happened to Rome. This what caused Rome to fall, was that they were involved in many conflicts, too many battles. All right. Their military spread too thin, and war cost. So they, economically fell while in the midst of too many wars. And that's how Rome ended up falling. All right. And you can see these devils, they're everywhere, man. They're neither keepers at home, as it says in Habakkuk. All right. The same reason why North Korea and South Korea is in conflict, because Esau, he's always divided and conquered so that he can pretty much take over. Habakkuk 2 and verse 4 says, behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Yet also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. All right, meaning he caused all the nations of the world to drink down his philosophies, his democracy, which, that's affected, certain nations that, otherwise, wouldn't be, what it's become. You got, women in the Middle East that's supposed to know better. All right. As far as, being modest, coming up under that, the Islamic, religion. But the more they get indoctrinated by the West, the more they feel liberated, the more they, they want to scream freedom. They want to do what they see the Western women do, which is basically to have the liberty, to gad abroad and be wicked and, be a whore, sleep around, dress all provocative, to promote, the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and that basically embarrass their country and where they come from. That's because they drinking that Babylonian wine and bugging the hell out. All right. So anyway, it says, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as deaf. He wants everything. And even though China, that's you're dealing with Moab, but I personally believe that Amalek is using China, spread forth, the communist, global regime over the world. All right. And like I said, that model structure of, digital control and social credit system, they set that up in China first. All right. And they also use China to start the whole process of, shifting, or transitioning into, the new world system, through the pandemic back in 2020. All right. So, these devils, the small hats, they playing both sides. All right. But anyway, it says, who enlarge of his desire as hell and is as deaf and cannot be satisfied. This devil's never satisfied, man. He wants to control literally everything on the planet Earth, because he thinks he's the most high. He has that God complex. He can never be satisfied, man. Worth trillions and trillions of dollars, control all these economic systems and, all these industries, all these that control all these resources, but that's still not enough. Now we got to surveil everything. We got to depopulate. No, you just ain't running the world right. It ain't overpopulated, but you just can't be satisfied. It says, but gather unto him all nations and heap unto him all people. And this is where, the nations, is giving him pushback, because you and everybody's affairs, you and everybody's lands. All right, starting shit. It says, shall not all these take up a parable against them, and a taunting proverb against them, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. Right? How long unto him that ladeth himself with thick clay? He's making himself rich with all his debt, and all the people. All right, the wretched, the toil. All right, the Aimal, they got to hold that debt. They're burden bearers of this debt. We're taking on their tab as they continue to keep, printing more money into the system, adding more and more zeros. That's why eventually this system is going to crash. And then, the final solution is digital currency. That's why they rolling out CBDCs worldwide. You see, China got a digital yuan. It's all done by design. But, the point is, this devil, he's causing smoke all over the world trying to accomplish this agenda. All right. So it's going to cause, pushback from the nations where they're going to have to, end up fighting, man. And everybody wants sovereignty. They want their own sovereignty and they want dominance. That's what it's all about. But we know that, Yahweh Shai, all right, that rock cut without hand that's going to break in pieces the toes of the beast, is going to come and judge and make war. He's going to come back and dominate. And all the world's going to be up under his feet. The Lord said, sit down on my right hand until I make thine enemies thy footstool. So right now, these nations are going to fight against each other, for power over the world, not realizing that Yahweh Shai is going to return. All right. And his elect are going to be joint heirs with him, and they're going to be the ones to dominate. Lord willing, we be those men. It says Israel shall take the kingdom. All right. So, Let me go here real quick. Let me go to the interlinear. And I've brought this out before. When you read this right here in the Hebrew, where it says keepeth at home, the word is nawah. And when you go down to the Hebrew Chaldee lexicon, it says, he is a proud man and does not rest. All right, they sleep not except they have done mischief, right? All right, it says, but seeks disturbances and wars. All right, and that's what they're known to do. Seek disturbances and wars. All right, all because of their greed, their evil covetousness. All right, not being desired, because their desire is as hell. It's enlarged as hell. All right. So, what business do they got in Taiwan if it's not to undermine, the Eastern opposition of their dominance? The West they want to maintain their dominance over the world, but now that's starting to come to an end. All right. So ultimately, they're going to be faced with, war. Okay. So, yeah, I'll leave a link to this in the description box. All right. So y'all can, read it. I think this, let me see what the source is. Let me go down. It's probably at the bottom. Yeah. All right. So I'll send this link. I'll put it in the description. So they're preparing for that, man. So if they choose to finally invade Taiwan, just like Russia invaded Ukraine, yeah, it's going to be conflict, and America's going to find itself, in multiple wars. All right, all over, and that's not a good thing. All right, and it shows that their dominance is being challenged. All right, the nations are saying, let the weak say that they're strong. In which, China is not weak, but you still got nations up under them that's assembling to them. All right, they're supporting their currencies, because their currencies is actually backed by gold and different other values. All right, the Russian ruble, since the whole situation where they've been throwing sanctions on Russia, that should start to backfire on the West. And now certain European countries are taking back those sanctions. So, yeah, man, it's going down. All right. But this is just rumors of war. So it can very well happen. We just got to sit back and see. But we're living in interesting times. The Lord leaving us signs in the heavens. All right, you had a Rothschild, leave the earth. Whether, because we could speculate, if that was real, if he's really gone, or if they just hiding the devil just went into hiding. We don't know. But either way, they know something's getting ready to go down. All right. All that happens. And then, you had the blood moon. Then you had election day. All right. You have the awakening of Jake through this whole Kanye, Kyrie situation. Now, this devil's, back to his tactics with the whole anti-Sims card psyop. This devil's, he's going to try to make moves because he know that his time is ticking. But the jig is already up, man. And hey, how everything is going to go is already written. All right. And you cannot defy that. You cannot offset it. Okay. So anyway, like I said, I'll leave a link to this in the description, and Lord willing, y'all were edified. I'm going to give all the praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachakwadash. Until the next time, Shalom.